January 5th is when President Biden can sign the stimulus bills into law. It's all because of Joe Manchin. The breaking news is that Joe Manchin is open to re-engaging on the climate and childcare provisions that are all in President Biden's Build Back Better plan, everybody. Now, if the White House removes the enhanced child tax credit from the package, Joe Manchin says that he will definitely support this bill. And that only means one thing: more stimulus payments. Now, Manchin's engagement on specifics indicates negotiations between him and the White House could actually get back on track, even after Manchin declared that he was a no on the package on December 19th. Now, the senator's concerns with the size and scope of the package still remain, but his belief is that it could cost more than $4 trillion over 10 years and extends beyond the child tax credit issue. Manchin continues to tell colleagues that he's concerned about the inflationary effects of so much government spending. But now the Bureau of Labor Statistics will release its next consumer price index on January 12th. Last month's reading put inflation at 6.8% for the year, fueling Manchin's opposition. Joe Manchin and the top White House officials traded accusations after negotiations fell apart, but still President Biden and the senator did speak by phone in late evenings to discuss more information about the stimulus bills. The Bureau of Labor Statistics will release its next consumer price index on January 12th, and last month's reading put inflation at 6.8% for the year. That's fueling Manchin's opposition. Manchin and the top White House aides, now they agreed to continue to talk, and Manchin stayed in touch with senior White House officials over the holidays. The week before Christmas, reports emerged about how close he and President Biden were on a potential deal. The details included a $1.8 trillion offer from Manchin that contained money for universal preschool and green tax credits, but nothing for the child tax credit, which provides families up to $3,600 per year. But families who make up to $400,000 had been receiving some child tax credit payments under the program that ended January 1st. One possible solution to this stalemate would be to remove the child tax credit from the Build Back Better piece of legislation, which the Senate plans to pass with only Democratic votes. The chamber could then have separate, focused debates during a midterm year about making the child tax credit permanent. Some Republicans, like Republican Senator Mitt Romney, are supportive of the child tax credit, but it is very unclear if Democrats could find all 10 Republicans that are needed to clear the 60-vote threshold for passing this major piece of legislation. So still, we are not far away from tax season in the country. But there are some tax law changes that were brought in during 2021, which will likely have a knock-on effect for many Americans. Due to the expanded child tax credit payments, roughly 90% of Americans will notice a small but positive change if they claim the standard deduction, while the IRS are yet to declare when the official start date for the 2022 tax season will be. They tend to usually start accepting tax returns toward the end of January, ahead of tax season. And here are some things to bear in mind and how you can make sure you're ready for the changes. The advanced child tax credit payments that were sent out on a monthly basis to eligible families could have an effect on your tax refund, as you might get a bigger tax refund and get a smaller tax refund or potentially pay additional taxes. Anyone who received the monthly child tax credit payments should note down how much you received on your 2020 tax return, and this will be the amount that was declared in the letter that you should have received. Now, there is a chance that you might qualify for the recovery rebate credit, which is if you have not had the third economic impact payment or received only a partial payment. That's less than the full stimulus payment of about $1,400. So even if you are typically required to do so, you will have to file a 2021 tax return in order to claim the recovery rebate credit. Thank you again for your support, everybody. If you have any more questions about this, then leave them in the comments below.
One more.
Sure.
Since the president didn't take questions from us either today or yesterday, can you tell us whether he can live with a smaller Build Back Better package or a package that doesn't have the child tax credit in it, or with only employed people qualifying for the child tax credit, which is what Senator Manchin says he wants?
Well, I can tell you that the president absolutely wants to get Build Back Better done, is committed to get it done because it will lower costs for Americans across the country, childcare, elder care, health care, a lot of the areas that are impacting American families' budgets across the country. I can tell you that those are conversations he and many members of our senior team will continue to have with a range of senators who are involved in this process in the weeks ahead, and that we're not going to outline them in more detail from here. And I would also just reiterate that the president sees and recognizes and values the contribution of the child tax credit and what it did to help lower prevent 40% of kids from being in poverty last year, and it's something that he advocated for, he introduced, and he called for himself. So he absolutely wants to see an extension of the child tax credit. I would note, this doesn't answer your question, but I thought this was an interesting thing someone shared with me this morning, that the way it was designed is that payments are going out every month for 6 months.
On political appointments, the president right now has had 266 political appointments confirmed by the Senate. That is roughly on par where President Trump was in his administration at this time. It's about 100 less than where Presidents Obama and Presidents Bush were at this time in their first years in office. Is that lower number of political appointments impacting how President Biden can govern and implement his policies within the executive branch?
Well, so just for the specific numbers, and you gave a number of these, but we ended 2021, I should say, with more than 300 of President Biden's nominees for Senate confirmed positions pending confirmation by the Senate. Approximately half were on the executive calendar and awaiting a floor vote, just to give you all a sense, meaning they could have moved forward. More of these could have moved forward. Many of our nominees have received overwhelming support and majorities from Democrats and Republicans, and the process for most of the time in the Senate was wound up in lengthy debates when really there could have been unanimous consent votes and moved a member of them forward. So the president's view is, of course, having the people that he has nominated, selected, highly qualified individuals, leading departments, running different parts of agencies, small, large agencies that impact people's lives across the country, is important and imperative to getting his agenda done and moving things forward. Obviously, there are career employees who are ensuring effectively that agencies are running, but of course, he wants to have his team in place, his people leading these agencies to continue to move his agenda forward.
Does he want the Senate and Senate leadership to spend more floor time on pushing nominations through?
Well, I think there's a way to move them forward without consuming hours and hours and days of floor time. We've seen some agreements, and we were encouraged by the agreement.
Here we are, folks. We are 4 days into the new year, and the Senate Majority Leader is at it yet once again. He is attempting to bring up voting rights legislation, what they call voting rights legislation in the United States Senate, something that has been rejected already multiple times. And he's doing it using the false narrative that our states can't protect voters' access to voting. And we know that that is a false narrative. So he's bringing up this legislation. Why? So that he can bring up the Senate filibuster. He wishes to break the Senate filibuster, whereas you're